Let's get into some Celtics rumors by Chat Sports. Let's talk Nikola Vucevic here, Chase. The report is that the big man for the Orlando Magic, who's having a fantastic season, is drawing some interest from some teams, including the Boston Celtics.
The biggest need for the Boston Celtics, and I've actually been really surprised at how poorly they've played, especially their execution down the stretch, given that I think Brad Stevens is one of the best coaches in the league. They've been awful late in the fourth quarter, but their biggest need when I look at their roster as we inch closer to the trade deadline, it's a front court player. It's a center. And I look at the market right now, Vucevic would be the perfect player for the Boston Celtics. And as we were getting ready for the show, we were kind of looking at his statistics. Vucevic is kind of putting together a Hall of Fame case. And I think what could really accelerate that process and that discussion is if he goes to a team like the Boston Celtics and he's able to have some postseason success. Look at these numbers, 24.5 points per game, 11.5 rebounds, and what's great about his game is the versatility. Not only can he play down low with his back to the basket, he can face up from the elbow, but he can also kind of spread the floor a little bit. He's shooting more than 41% from three, and Vucevic has been doing this for the last several years. It is time for Vucevic to get out of Orlando. He's been hidden in the bunker that has been Orlando for way too long, and in my opinion, the Boston Celtics, if they're looking for an upgrade at the front court, this is the number one option for the Celtics out there to make a trade for. Now, they're going to have to give up a lot because if you're looking at the list of players that you have to trade for that are on the open market potentially, Vucevic is right up there. But I love the fit of Vucevic with the Boston Celtics, and I think that he could make the Celtics an immediate Eastern Conference finalist contender.
Yeah, truly one of the best big men in the modern NBA. Like you said, the complete offensive game. Should the Boston Celtics trade for Nikola Vucevic? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm with you, Chase. I think this would be a home run hit. I'm going to go ahead and type my Y on this one, but let us know what you guys think. And I also believe I kind of get some of my input in here as well. Danny Ainge, I'm not going to say he's on the hot seat, but it hasn't been the best 12 months for Danny Ainge.
No.
He kind of held on to those draft picks forever. I thought he hit a couple of weird buttons during the NBA draft, the Gordon Hayward offseason mess. He had Miles Turner in a sign and trade. They opted not to do that, and you're stuck with the front court of what you have in Daniel Tice and Tristan Thompson, which is pretty mediocre. I think Danny Ainge is under a little bit of pressure to pull the trigger on a move like a Nikola Vucevic. And if you can get him without having to give up Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, which I think they're untouchable anyway, I think that's a win for Boston.
And the thing to keep an eye on, too, is that trade exception for Boston.
Yes,
they can absorb around $28 million. That fits them right in line with Vucevic.
Yeah, so we cooked up this trade idea for you guys. It's quite a bit, but again, this is a premier offensive player in the NBA. So the Celtics get Vucevic. The Magic would receive Marcus Smart, who I think after Tatum and Brown probably has the most value on this roster. Payton, Pritchard, Grant Williams, get a front court player back, a rookie who's played pretty well in Pritchard, and then 2 first-round picks. I think that's about what you're going to have to pay if you are a team trading for Vucevic, because it's not like Orlando's just going to give him away. He's got 2-3 more years on that deal. So who wins this trade? Type C for the Celtics, type M for the Magic. Go ahead and weigh in on this one. If I'm Boston, Chase, I'm making a move before the NBA trade deadline.
I know so many Celtics fans see Marcus Smart in a potential trade, and I'm sure they've been hitting the trade machine like crazy because they do need to update that roster. Some Celtics fans concerned about Kemba Walker, but it's the front court vacancy that is the biggest need for the Celtics. Yes, Grant Williams is what Grant Williams is. Robert Williams, a lot of people are excited about him, but he's just an okay bench piece.
Yeah.
They really need Vucevic. And going back to Marcus Smart, he's been the heart and soul for this team. But if that's the player that you need to give up in order to bring a premium player back, you got to make the trade 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, and I agree. Another player that's been linked to Boston here is Jerami Grant, who is a player I like a lot and a player that is probably going to win Most Improved Player this year if he keeps up the current pace. I just question if this is the right stylistic type of player that Boston needs right now.
Well, yeah, because his game and his fit and his position would kind of clash with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
If you're a young basketball fan out there, though, I want you to look and study Jerami Grant's entire career. When he was drafted out of the second round by the Philadelphia 76ers, they took a chance on him because he was seen as an uber athletic prospect who could really jump high, and that was about it. The development in his game, really over the last 3 years, has been similar to the Josh Allen development in the National Football League, where nobody saw a jump like that coming, to epic proportions. Jerami Grant, the fact that he is averaging more than 23 points per game is just wild. It's unfathomable. More than 5 rebounds. He's shooting 46% from the floor.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's shooting 36% from 3, that's not something anybody could have predicted when he started his career. He slowly developed a corner three-point shot, but as he has added to his offensive package, Jerami Grant has realistically developed into a top 25-30 player in the league. And you compare him to his brother Jarian, who is a much more highly touted prospect coming out of Notre Dame. Jerami Grant, the contract that the Pistons gave him, totally worth it. So, Grant, you're looking at a guy who is probably going to win the Most Improved Player award, and it's totally worthy because this guy's jump has been unbelievable.
Yeah, the only question I have, and you alluded to it earlier, is Jerami Grant's a 3-and-D guy who could fit anywhere.
Yeah.
But is that what Boston needs? Because their 2 best players are wing players. Now, Jerami Grant's a better defender than Tatum and Brown, but how does that work? I mean, does Brown play the 2, Tatum the 3, Grant the 4? Sure, that doesn't really fit your major front court problem. And that's why if I'm Danny Ainge, I'm still focusing on a guy like Vucevic. I'm exploring a big like Andre Drummond. I'm not saying no to Jerami Grant. I just think there are bigger needs the way this roster is currently constructed. Grant's a great story, though. Like you mentioned, he turned down a contract to return to Denver because he wanted to have a more focal part of an offense. He's proven Detroit right. He's been efficient, and he scored a lot. The problem is they stink, and they're looking to be sellers, so it's very possible he's on the move, and it seemed like the Boston Celtics have shown some interest. So name a player the Celtics should trade for before the March 25th deadline. Go ahead and comment below right now. A couple of names we just gave you, Nikola Vucevic and Jerami Grant, had been rumored, but there's certainly some other names out there, so get your votes in. Chatsports.com/NBA Green. St. Patty's Day is almost here, and Celtics fans more than any, but we got gear for all NBA teams. Get your gear today. Some of this stuff is on sale at chatsports.com/NBA Green. And here's the deal. We got t-shirts, we got hats, we got socks, we got all kinds of stuff for all 30 NBA teams. You get your St. Patty's gear now, you never have to buy it again because St. Patty's is every single year. Get some green gear, chatsports.com/NBA Green, especially Celtics fans. You could wear that stuff year-round.
Oh, you could, especially St. Patty's or if they make a playoff run.
Exactly.
Either of it works.
The clover, it always applies in Boston. The news of the day, Blake Griffin has been bought out by the Detroit Pistons. And Chase, we kind of saw this coming.
Yeah, this has been in the works for a long time. Pistons and Griffin have agreed to a buyout. And really what it came down to for Detroit and Blake Griffin is the fact that his contract sucks if you're the Pistons. So Detroit could not find a trade partner, and now you're looking at a situation where you have what once was one of the most exciting and explosive players of all time hitting the market as a free agent. He is free to sign with any team, and we're going to go through soon some of the top options for Blake Griffin to hop on board with, and a lot of them, if not all of them, are contenders looking to make playoff pushes and try to bring back a Larry O'Big.
Yeah, and it's kind of been a weird downfall, Chase, as this was, like you said, one of the exciting players in the NBA, and they trade him to Detroit, which he wasn't happy about at the time, and a couple years later, can't stay healthy and just hasn't been the same guy.
When he was with the Los Angeles Clippers, it was must-watch television every single night. Lob City was going crazy. CP3, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, J.J. Redick making it rain from deep.
Yep.
And Blake Griffin in his prime, when he was healthy, just an athletic specimen who every single night was a human highlight reel. Now, his tenure in Los Angeles, it came to an ugly end, and it was really unfortunate to see how it all transpired. He was salty about it because he agreed to a massive extension to stay in Los Angeles. He gets traded to the Pistons, and you're like, oh man, that just stinks. A medium-level market, a franchise that's kind of been in the dumps. And not only has the team been mediocre to bad, now they're terrible, but Blake Griffin's game has fallen off a cliff, and it's been really rough to watch Blake Griffin's game really just diminish over the years. He is not the same player that he once was from an athletic standpoint, but we take a look at the numbers right here. It's not good. 12 points per game, 5 rebounds, and look at the field goal and three-point percentage. A couple years ago, it looked as though Blake Griffin was entering into a different segment of his career where since he lost a little bit of that explosiveness, he turned into a better outside shooter and was hitting threes at a decent clip for a big man, but now 36.5% from the field, 32% just under that from three-point range, and Blake Griffin's game has just fallen off. So you can't expect Blake Griffin to go somewhere and drop 20 to 10. He's not that guy anymore. He's going to go to a contender, and really all he's going to do, he's going to bring that contender possible front court depth off the bench.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a lot of good points there. It's not just the athleticism is gone. Like we've seen in recent years, he kind of became that playmaking point forward type, but now the efficiency is waning. I think he's lost confidence, and I don't think he trusts his body either. I do think there's going to be some suitors out there. I think a team like the Celtics who need a big, I don't know if he's the right fit, but I think they'll show some interest. Brooklyn is all over the buyout market, as they should be. The Golden State Warriors would like to make a move. Maybe this is a possible fit for them as well. Both LA teams chase, I think, could make some sense. The Clippers, that thing kind of ended weird, but maybe you right that wrong and bring him back to play out with the Clippers as well. Then Miami and Portland, a couple of other teams that have been mentioned as well. But to your point, Chase, I think if you're a fan base of a team that's going to get Blake Griffin, or like I'll compare it to DeMarcus Cousins, wherever he lands, don't expect this to be 4 years ago. If you can get 10, 11 points off the bench a little more efficient than he's been this year, I think you're feeling pretty happy at that point because that's just who he is at this point in time. So we'll ask you guys to predict it. Which team will sign Blake Griffin? Go ahead and let us know down in the comments section. Go ahead and predict where you think he'll end up signing.